In the quiet moments of reflection, when the world seems to conspire against your peace, remember this: you possess within you a power greater than any external circumstance. This is not mere optimism, but a profound truth recognized by the ancient Stoics. Those philosophers who discovered that true invincibility lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering the territory within. Today I shall share with you the ancient wisdom that has guided emperors through war, slaves through oppression, and ordinary individuals through the complex labyrinth of human existence. This is not simply philosophy, it is practical armor for the battles of life. The foundation. Understanding what you can control. The cornerstone of the Stoic mindset begins with a simple yet revolutionary distinction. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to become one of history's greatest philosophers, opened his manual of life with this fundamental principle: some things are within our control, while others are not. This distinction may appear elementary, but its implications reach into every aspect of human experience. When you truly internalize this principle, you begin to recognize that your opinions, desires, aversions, and own actions, these alone fall within your domain of control. Everything else, reputation, wealth, health, and the vast complex machinery of external events, ultimately lies beyond your direct command. Consider how much mental energy you expend daily worrying about circumstances beyond your influence. The weather disrupts your plans, other people's opinions wound your pride, economic forces threaten your security, and in response you suffer not once but twice, first from the event itself, and second from your resistance to it. The Stoic mind recognizes this pattern and breaks it. Rather than battling against the immovable nature of reality, it focuses its energy where true power lies, in your responses, judgments, and actions. This is not resignation, but strategic reallocation of your most precious resource, your mental attention. The discipline of perception. Seeing reality without distortion. Our suffering rarely stems from events themselves, but from the stories we tell about these events. When faced with a challenge, the untrained mind immediately attaches meanings, predictions, and judgments that transform neutral occurrences into personal catastrophes. The Stoic discipline of perception teaches us to strip away these automatic interpretations and see events in their naked reality. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and devoted Stoic practitioner, would remind himself daily, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, aggressive, treacherous, malicious, and unsocial. All of this has afflicted them through their ignorance of true good and evil." This perspective allowed him to see difficult people not as obstacles to his happiness, but as fellow humans acting according to their limited understanding. By separating facts from interpretations, you gain the power to respond rather than merely react. Consider a situation where you face rejection. The undisciplined mind immediately generates stories. "I am inadequate. This always happens to me. Everyone will know I failed." The Stoic mind, however, sees only the bare event. "My application was not accepted." This seemingly small difference creates a vast space of freedom, the freedom to choose your response rather than being driven by automatic narratives. This discipline requires rigorous practice. Begin by questioning your immediate interpretations of events. When something triggers distress, ask yourself, what is the objective fact here, separated from my judgment about it? This simple inquiry can dissolve much unnecessary suffering. The discipline of action, virtue as the only true good. The Stoics recognize that in a world of constant change, only one thing remains steadfast: the possibility of acting with virtue. By virtue, they meant living according to nature, specifically human nature at its most excellent, expressed through wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. This understanding transforms how you approach life's challenges. If external outcomes are ultimately beyond your control, then success cannot be defined by results alone. True success lies in the quality of your choices and actions, regardless of their outcomes. Imagine facing a difficult conversation with a colleague. The conventional mind fixates on the desired outcome, perhaps agreement or approval. The Stoic mind, however, focuses on bringing the right qualities to the interaction: honesty tempered with kindness, courage balanced with respect. Whether the conversation yields the desired result becomes secondary to how you conducted yourself. This shift in perspective liberates you from the tyranny of outcomes. No longer must you suffer when results fall short of expectations. Instead, you can find satisfaction in knowing that you brought your best virtues to the situation, regardless of how others responded or what circumstances intervened. The discipline of action requires you to continually ask, what virtue does this situation call for? Rather than reacting from habit or emotion, you respond deliberately, choosing the action that represents your highest nature. This commitment to virtue becomes an unshakable foundation that no external circumstance can disturb. The discipline of will. Embracing what is perhaps the most challenging aspect of Stoic practice is the discipline of will. Learning to align your desires with reality rather than wishing reality were different. This does not mean passive acceptance of injustice or unnecessary suffering. Rather, it means recognizing what truly lies within your power to change and accepting with equanimity what does not. Epictetus captured this wisdom when he said, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish them to, but rather wish that they happen as they do happen, and you shall go on well." This radical acceptance liberates enormous energy previously wasted on resistance to reality. Consider how much mental suffering comes from arguing with what already is. Your flight is delayed, your investment loses value, a relationship ends, and to these facts you add the burden of believing they should not have happened. The Stoic discipline of will teaches that this additional suffering is optional. By practicing what the Stoics called amor fati, love of fate, you develop the capacity to not merely tolerate what happens, but to embrace it as necessary for your growth. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to practice virtue. Every setback becomes a lesson in resilience. This discipline requires regular contemplation of impermanence and mortality. By remembering that nothing lasts forever, neither pleasure nor pain, you develop a deeper appreciation for the present moment and greater courage in facing difficulties. Practical exercises for the Stoic mind. The ancient Stoics were not mere theorists, but practical psychologists who developed specific exercises to strengthen the mind. These practices remain powerfully relevant today. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. Regularly contemplate what it would be like to lose what you value: health, relationships, possessions. This practice does not foster pessimism, but rather deepens gratitude and prepares the mind for adversity. By rehearsing potential challenges, you reduce their power to disturb your equilibrium when they actually occur. Each morning, take a few moments to imagine potential difficulties in the day ahead. Ask yourself, what could go wrong today? Then consider how you might respond with virtue. This mental rehearsal builds resilience before you need it. The view from above. When troubled by seeming catastrophes, practice mentally zooming out to gain perspective. Imagine viewing your situation from progressively greater heights, from above your city, your country, the planet, the galaxy. From this cosmic viewpoint, many of our urgent concerns reveal their relative insignificance. This exercise is not about dismissing your legitimate concerns, but about placing them in proper perspective. When practiced regularly, it helps break the spell of catastrophic thinking and reminds you of the broader context of your existence. Evening reflection. End each day with careful examination of your actions and responses. Ask yourself, where did I demonstrate virtue today? Where did I fall short? What lessons can I extract from these experiences? This practice builds self-awareness and accelerates your growth. Unlike many forms of self-reflection, the Stoic review aims not at self-judgment, but at clear-eyed assessment. Its purpose is not to induce guilt or pride, but to refine your understanding and improve your future choices. Obstacles as opportunities. The Stoic mindset transforms how you perceive challenges. Rather than seeing obstacles as barriers to happiness, you recognize them as the very conditions necessary for developing virtue and strength. Consider how physical strength develops. It is precisely through resistance, the weight you push against, that muscles grow. Without this opposition, no development occurs. Similarly, your character and resilience develop most powerfully when facing adversity. The Roman Stoic Seneca observed, "Disaster is virtue's opportunity." This insight reframes every challenge you encounter. The difficult colleague becomes your teacher of patience. The financial setback becomes your professor of resourcefulness. The illness becomes your master class in courage. This perspective does not trivialize genuine suffering or suggest that trauma is always beneficial. Rather, it acknowledges that within even our most difficult circumstances lies the potential for meaningful growth, if we approach them with the right mindset. The journey toward inner freedom. The ultimate promise of Stoic practice is freedom. Not freedom from difficulty, but freedom within difficulty. As you develop the disciplines of perception, action, and will, you progressively liberate yourself from the tyranny of external circumstances. This freedom manifests as a profound inner tranquility that persists even amid chaos. It appears as the capacity to respond rather than react, to maintain perspective when others lose theirs, to find meaning in both success and failure. Consider those rare individuals you've encountered who maintain composure under pressure, who face loss with dignity, who treat both triumph and disaster as temporary visitors rather than defining conditions. These people demonstrate what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy in the modern sense, but freedom from destructive emotions and the clear-sighted tranquility that results. This state does not arrive through intellectual understanding alone. It emerges gradually through consistent practice, through daily choices to apply Stoic principles in ordinary circumstances before the extraordinary ones arrive. I speak these words not merely to inform your intellect, but to transform your life. Knowledge without action remains sterile. Philosophy without practice is empty rhetoric. If you have resonated with these teachings, I urge you now to commit to their application. Begin today, this very moment, by identifying one area where you struggle with acceptance, one situation where you confuse your judgments with objective reality, one relationship where your happiness depends too heavily on another's behavior. In that specific context, apply what you have learned. Notice how your suffering diminishes when you focus on what you can control. Observe how your perspective shifts when you separate facts from interpretations. Experience the freedom that comes from defining success by your actions rather than outcomes. The path of Stoic practice is not easy, but neither is the alternative. Living at the mercy of external events, buffeted endlessly by fortune's changing winds. The choice, as always, remains yours. For those who wish to continue this journey of growth and transformation, I invite you to join our community at Stoic Directory. Here you will find fellow travelers on this path, additional wisdom to guide your practice, and the encouragement needed to persevere when the work becomes challenging. Like the ancient Stoics who gathered in communities to support each other's philosophical practice, we too understand the power of shared commitment. Visit our channel, subscribe to our teachings, and join the conversation by sharing your insights and experiences in the comments below. The ultimate test. The ultimate measure of your Stoic practice is not how you manage when life flows smoothly, but how you respond when facing your greatest fears. It is in these moments, when you lose what you thought you could not live without, when you face what you believed you could not endure, that the true depth of your practice reveals itself. Consider the example of Epictetus, who maintained his philosophical equilibrium despite enslavement and physical disability, or Seneca, who faced exile and eventually a mandated suicide with dignity and philosophical resolve. These were not superhuman beings, but individuals who committed themselves to rigorous practice of the principles we have explored. Their example reminds us that Stoicism is not about becoming emotionless or denying the natural human response to difficulty. Rather, it is about developing the capacity to experience these responses without being defined or controlled by them, to feel fear without being paralyzed, to experience loss without being destroyed, to face uncertainty without abandoning principle. This capacity develops gradually, through thousands of small choices in ordinary moments. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you question an automatic judgment, each time you focus on your response rather than external outcomes, you strengthen the mental muscles that will sustain you when greater challenges arrive. The path forward. As we conclude our exploration of the Stoic mindset, remember that this philosophy is not a destination, but a continuous practice. No one perfectly embodies these principles at all times. Even Marcus Aurelius, whose private journals reveal his ongoing struggle with anger and impatience, acknowledged his imperfect application of what he knew to be true. The goal is not perfection, but progress, not to eliminate all emotional responses, but to bring them increasingly under the guidance of reason and virtue. This journey continues throughout life, offering endless opportunities for refinement and growth. I encourage you to deepen your understanding by studying the works of the great Stoics, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, Epictetus's Discourses, Seneca's Letters. But more importantly, I urge you to test these principles in the laboratory of your daily experience. Only through lived practice will these teachings transform from interesting ideas into life-changing wisdom. If our exploration today has sparked something within you, a recognition of a more resilient way of being, a glimpse of greater freedom, then nurture that spark. Share what you've learned with those who might benefit. Support our continued work at Stoic Directory by liking, commenting, and sharing our channel with others who seek this path of inner strength. Remember, the most powerful endorsement of these teachings is not what you say about them, but how you live them. Let your life become a testament to the transformative power of the Stoic mindset, a mind that can truly defeat anything by recognizing that true victory lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering the internal one.